10 Secrets to Attracting a Specific Person into Your Life. Stoicism. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Stoic in Your Life, where we explore timeless wisdom and practical strategies to help you navigate life's challenges with resilience and clarity. Have you ever found yourself endlessly thinking about a specific person, wondering how you can attract them into your life without appearing desperate or losing your sense of self-worth? Today, you're in the right place because we're diving deep into 10 powerful secrets, drawn from the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, that will help you naturally bring that person closer to you. As the renowned Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In this video, we'll uncover how your mindset, actions, and inner strength can create an irresistible force of attraction. These aren't mere tricks or games. They are profound shifts in perspective that empower you to live in alignment with your values and allow the right connections to naturally come into your life. So, whether you're looking to rekindle an old flame, draw someone new into your orbit, or simply understand the dynamics of attraction from a Stoic viewpoint, stay with us as we explore these 10 transformative principles that can change the way you approach relationships forever. Let's get started. Today, we're not just talking about stepping back. We're diving into the art of reclaiming your power in a way that leaves an indelible mark on the people and world around you. Think about the sheer strength and discipline it takes to deliberately withdraw your attention, to shift your focus entirely on your own growth and self-improvement. This isn't about playing hard to get or indulging in mind games. It's about cultivating an inner resilience and confidence so formidable that your absence becomes a powerful presence in itself. As the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This principle is at the core of our discussion today, transforming yourself into someone so self-assured, so unshakable, that the void you leave behind is felt deeply by those who once took your presence for granted. Each of the 10 principles we will explore today serves as a stepping stone on your journey to becoming a man who commands respect and admiration, not through overt actions, but through the quiet power of your character. These are principles that elevate you, making you unforgettable not because you've disappeared, but because in your absence you have grown stronger, more resilient, and more centered. This is your opportunity to rise, to demonstrate to both yourself and others that your worth cannot be diminished by external circumstances. It is about embracing the truth that your value is intrinsic, and that by stepping back, you are, in fact, stepping up to a new level of self-mastery. But before we dive into these transformative principles, I want to pose a challenge that will set the tone for everything we're about to discuss. If you're ready to fully embrace your power, to let your silence resonate more profoundly than any words could, I invite you to declare your commitment right now. Let's start by understanding that the first key to attracting a specific person into your life through the lens of Stoicism is to cultivate an unbreakable sense of self-worth. In a world where external validation is often sought, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that true value comes from within. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This means that before you can attract someone else, you must first understand and respect your own value. You must work on becoming the best version of yourself, not for anyone else, but for you. By doing so, you naturally project an aura of confidence and self-assurance that is incredibly attractive. People are drawn to those who know their worth and don't need others to validate it. The next principle revolves around the importance of focus and discipline in your personal growth. In the pursuit of attracting a specific person, it's easy to become obsessed with them, letting your thoughts revolve around what they are doing or thinking. However, a Stoic understands that obsession with others is a distraction from one's own path. As Seneca wisely noted, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Instead of fixating on another person, redirect that energy into your own development, whether it's advancing your career, honing your skills, or improving your physical and mental health. By doing so, you are not only bettering yourself, but also becoming more attractive in the process. Remember, true attraction comes from the pursuit of excellence in your own life. Another key aspect of Stoicism that will aid in attracting the right person is the practice of emotional regulation. In the face of rejection or unreciprocated feelings, it's easy to become overwhelmed by negative emotions. But here's where the Stoic mindset becomes crucial. Instead of reacting impulsively, you maintain control over your emotions. As Marcus Aurelius put it, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By mastering your emotions, you demonstrate emotional maturity, a quality that is deeply attractive and rare. Moreover, let's talk about the power of patience and timing, a fundamental Stoic principle that plays a crucial role in relationships. The Stoics believed in the importance of aligning with the natural flow of events, understanding that some things are beyond our control. When it comes to attracting a specific person, patience is key. Do not rush or force situations. Instead, trust that the right opportunities will arise when you are ready and when the time is right. This aligns with the wisdom of Seneca, who said, "Time discovers truth." Your patience and self-discipline not only prevent you from making impulsive decisions, but also allow the relationship to develop organically, on a foundation of mutual respect and admiration. Finally, let's not forget the importance of self-reflection. Regularly take time to assess your actions, thoughts, and intentions. Are you genuinely working on becoming a better version of yourself, or are you still clinging to old habits that no longer serve you? As you grow and evolve, you may find that the person you once sought to attract no longer aligns with your new values and aspirations. And that's perfectly fine, because true growth sometimes means outgrowing people who are not on the same path. As Epictetus reminds us, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In modern life, where distractions are plenty and true connection is rare, the principles of Stoicism provide a roadmap to not only attracting the right person into your life, but also becoming someone who is worth attracting. By focusing on your own growth, mastering your emotions, and cultivating patience, you create a powerful presence that speaks volumes even in your absence. So, are you ready to embrace this shift and let your silence echo with strength? Remember, the journey to attracting the right person begins with becoming the right person. Let's embark on this journey together, stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. So friends, before we dive into these 10 powerful principles, I want to start with a thought experiment that will lay the groundwork for everything we're about to explore. This is crucial, so I encourage you not to skip this part. Think about the role of the sun in your life, how it provides warmth, light, and energy that are so essential, yet often taken for granted. Now imagine you are the sun in someone else's life. Your presence brings warmth to their days and fuels their happiness. But what happens when that sun suddenly disappears? The world becomes colder, a bit darker. The once abundant warmth turns into a distant memory. Each day, the absence of that light and energy is felt more deeply. Now, let me ask you, what do you think happens next? Do they simply move on as if nothing has changed, or do they start to realize the value of what they've lost? Think about someone in your life who used to be a significant part of your daily routine. Maybe it was a close friend, a partner, or even a colleague. Remember the little things, the frequent messages, quick phone calls, and casual encounters that made up your daily interactions. Now, imagine all of those interactions suddenly stop, not because of a disagreement or a falling out, but because you made a conscious decision to step back and focus on yourself. What do you think would go through their mind as the days pass and the usual conversations don't happen? Would they miss you? Would they start to wonder why you've gone quiet, where you've disappeared to? You might be wondering at this point, but if I walk away and become absent, isn't there a chance that they'll forget about me entirely? Won't my absence just push them further away? This is a common concern, and it's perfectly natural to feel that way. However, it's important to understand that this strategy is not about disappearing completely. It's not about vanishing from their life to the point where they move on without a second thought. Instead, it's about creating a subtle yet powerful shift in the dynamics of your relationship. By stepping back, you're not removing yourself entirely. Rather, you're creating space for them to reflect, to realize, and to feel the impact of your absence. This isn't about being absent forever. It's about making your presence felt more strongly by stepping away just enough to allow them to understand what life is like without you in it. Consider this. In the world of art, a beautiful painting is often best appreciated when you step back and view it from a distance. Up close, the details might seem chaotic or overwhelming, but with some distance, the full picture comes into focus, and its true value is revealed. The same principle applies to relationships. Sometimes, stepping back allows others to see you for who you truly are and to appreciate the depth and significance of your presence in their life. This is the essence of what we're discussing today. We're not talking about playing hard to get. We're talking about the transformative power of creating space. When you stop chasing someone, when you pull back your attention, something profound happens. The dynamics shift. The way they perceive you begins to change. And in that shift, they start to feel the weight of your absence, perhaps more intensely than you could have ever imagined. Let's relate this to a modern-day scenario that many of us might be familiar with. Imagine a workplace where you're always the one who initiates meetings, checks in on your colleagues, and makes sure projects are on track. Now, what if you decided to step back for a moment? Not abandon your responsibilities, but allow others the space to notice what you contribute daily. Suddenly, people begin to realize how much smoother things run when you're actively involved. They start to value your input more because they've felt the difference in your absence. This can be a powerful lesson in personal relationships as well. By allowing others the space to miss you, to feel your absence, you create an opportunity for them to recognize your worth more clearly. So, here's an open-ended question for you to consider. What areas of your life could benefit from creating a little more space? Whether it's in your personal relationships, your work life, or even in your relationship with yourself. Where could stepping back lead to a greater appreciation of your presence? The message here is clear. The power of your presence is often best felt in your absence. By intentionally creating space, you allow others to realize your value, and in turn, you reinforce your own worth. Remember, this isn't about manipulation or games. It's about understanding the natural dynamics of human relationships and using them to foster deeper, more meaningful connections. As you navigate these principles, think about how you can apply them in your own life to create a balance that both respects your worth and allows others to fully appreciate it. Let your absence speak volumes. Let it be the catalyst for others to reflect on what you truly bring into their lives. And as they do, remember that your worth isn't determined by their recognition, but by your own understanding of the value you offer. So, are you ready to embrace this shift and let your presence be felt, even in your absence? The journey starts with you, and the impact you create begins with a single, powerful step back. Think about the last time you lost something truly valuable to you, perhaps a cherished piece of jewelry or a meaningful memento. Recall the sharp pang of loss, the regret that surged through you for not appreciating it more while it was in your possession. That exact feeling is what begins to creep into the minds of those who once took your presence for granted when you decide to step back. But here's the crucial difference. Unlike that lost item, you hold the power to decide when, or even if, you choose to re-enter their lives. This is a significant realization that holds the key to understanding human dynamics, especially in relationships. Before we delve into the 10 secrets that will reveal exactly what they feel when you stop looking for them, I want you to take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Think back to those times when someone's absence suddenly made you recognize their true value. What emotions surged within you? What thoughts lingered in your mind as the days passed without their presence? Hold on to those feelings, because they are the very emotions others go through when you decide to step back and focus on yourself. This reflection is vital because it opens the door to empathy, allowing you to see the situation from the other side. Now let's consider what happens when you stop actively pursuing someone. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about understanding a fundamental truth of human nature. We often only realize the value of something once it is no longer readily available to us. The famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By stepping back, you are shifting your reaction from pursuit to self-focus, and in doing so, you create a space where the other person must confront the reality of your absence. This shift can be incredibly powerful because it forces them to evaluate what you truly mean to them. Think about it. How often do we take for granted the things that are always there, always available? It's only when something or someone is no longer present that we start to realize their importance. This is precisely why stepping back can be so effective. It's not about making them miss you out of spite. It's about giving them the opportunity to appreciate your worth. As the philosopher Seneca wisely noted, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. When you remove yourself from the equation, they begin to imagine the possibility of a life without you. A life that perhaps is not as fulfilling as they once thought it could be. Now, let's talk about the emotions that arise in the person you've stepped back from. The first emotion they are likely to experience is confusion. They've grown accustomed to your presence, to the certainty that you will always be there. When that certainty is removed, it disrupts their sense of stability. They begin to question why you've stepped back, what has changed, and whether they have done something to cause this shift. This confusion often leads to the next emotion, insecurity. Without your constant validation or attention, they start to feel uncertain about themselves and their place in your life. This insecurity can prompt them to reassess their own behavior and feelings toward you, leading to a deeper appreciation of your value. The next stage is longing. As the days go by and your absence is felt more acutely, they start to miss the little things, your conversations, your support, your presence. This longing can be intense, as it is driven by the realization that they have taken you for granted. It's at this point that regret often sets in. They begin to regret not valuing you more when they had the chance, not expressing their appreciation, and not giving as much to the relationship as they could have. This regret is a powerful motivator that can lead to the next emotion, determination. Determined to not lose you completely, they may start to take steps to reconnect, to show you that they do value you, and to make amends for their previous behavior. But here's where your power comes into play. You have the choice of whether or not to re-engage. This isn't about holding a grudge or seeking revenge. It's about understanding your own worth and making decisions that align with your values and needs. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. By stepping back, you are giving yourself the space to think clearly, to assess whether this relationship truly serves you, and to decide how you want to move forward. Finally, let's talk about the impact this process has on you. By stepping back, you are not just affecting the other person, you are also undergoing your own transformation. You are reclaiming your power, reinforcing your self-worth, and setting the tone for how you deserve to be treated. This is a profound act of self-respect, one that can lead to greater confidence and clarity in all areas of your life. So, as you consider stepping back from someone who may have taken you for granted, ask yourself, what do I truly want from this relationship? Am I being valued for who I am, or am I giving too much without receiving the same in return? In closing, the lesson here is clear. Sometimes the most powerful action you can take is to do nothing at all, to step back, to focus on yourself, and to let your absence speak for itself. By doing so, you not only give the other person the chance to realize your value, but you also give yourself the opportunity to grow, to reflect, and to make decisions that honor your worth. So, are you ready to embrace this shift? The journey begins with you, and the power is in your hands. Number 1. The shock of silence. Gentlemen, let's start with something powerful. something that can shake the very foundation of a relationship, the shock of silence. Picture this. You've always been the consistent one, the person who sends that good morning text, who checks in to see how their day is going, who makes plans to spend time together. You've been the steady presence, the background music in their life that they've grown accustomed to, even if they didn't fully realize it. But one day you decide to step back. You don't send that text. You don't initiate plans. And suddenly, there's a noticeable silence. It's as if the music has abruptly stopped at a party, leaving a void that everyone feels, but no one immediately understands. This silence is more than just the absence of your texts or calls. It's a deeper, more profound shock that hits them when they realize the rhythm of their day, the comfort of knowing you're there, has changed. Suddenly, the quiet becomes a mirror, reflecting the void your absence has created. They may not have consciously acknowledged it before, but now, as that silence stretches on, they begin to notice how much your presence filled their life. It's like turning off a favorite song. Only then do they realize how much they relied on it to keep their mood up. The real impact of this silence hits when they start to wonder, why aren't they reaching out? Did I do something wrong? This sudden shift from the norm catches them off guard, and it's in this disruption that they begin to question everything. The silence, once comfortable, becomes almost deafening. And in that quiet space, they start to feel the true weight of your absence. This isn't just about missing your texts. It's about missing the connection, the assurance that someone is thinking of them. As Rumi wisely said, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. In this context, the quieter you become, the more they start to hear the echo of your absence in their life. Now you might be thinking, but what if they don't care? What if my presence wasn't that significant to them in the first place? This is a valid concern, and it's something that many of us worry about. But here's the hard truth. If they don't care, if your absence doesn't cause even a ripple in their life, then that tells you something crucial. It tells you that maybe, just maybe, this relationship wasn't as deep or as meaningful as you believed. And while that realization can be tough to swallow, it's also incredibly clarifying. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." If your absence doesn't impact them, then perhaps this is a sign that it's time for change, time to move forward with a clearer understanding of where you truly stand. Imagine you're at a concert, and one of the instruments suddenly stops playing. If the music continues without any noticeable difference, it means that the instrument wasn't as integral to the performance as you thought. But if the absence leaves a noticeable gap, if the music feels incomplete without it, then you know just how important that instrument was. The same goes for relationships. If your absence doesn't create a void, then perhaps you weren't playing the role you thought you were, and that's okay. It's a difficult truth, but it's also a liberating one. It allows you to redirect your energy and attention to relationships that truly value your presence. However, in most cases, this shock of silence does make a difference. It disrupts their day, it forces them to confront their feelings, and it often leads to a deeper appreciation of the role you played in their life. They start to realize that your presence wasn't just a convenience, it was a source of comfort, stability, and connection. This realization can be a powerful wake-up call. As they sit with that awareness, your absence starts to speak volumes, echoing in their thoughts and making them understand just how much they miss having you around. This shock of silence isn't just about creating space. It's about shifting the dynamics of your relationship. It's the first step in making them see things from a different perspective, in helping them recognize what they had, and in making them realize that maybe they've been taking you for granted. It's in these moments of silence that true value is often revealed. So, as you contemplate this strategy, remember that the power of silence can be profound. It's a tool, not for manipulation, but for truth. Truth about your worth and the role you play in someone else's life. Are you ready to let the silence speak for you? Because when you do, It just might say more than words ever could. Number 2, realization of your value. Let's delve deeper into the concept of realizing your value when you step back from someone's life, and how this profound awareness can shift the dynamics of any relationship. Picture this. After the initial shock of your sudden silence, when they've had a few days to adjust, something subtle yet significant begins to emerge. A persistent feeling that something essential is missing from their daily life. It's not just the absence of your texts or calls. It's the absence of you, your energy, your presence, your unique ability to make their days brighter and more meaningful. This is where they begin to understand the true depth of your value. In the fast pace of everyday life, it's easy to take people for granted, especially those who are consistently present, always giving, and rarely demanding anything in return. But when you suddenly step back, when you stop pouring your energy into the relationship, that void you leave behind becomes glaringly apparent. It's like removing a key piece from a puzzle. Suddenly, the picture doesn't look complete anymore. They start to realize how much you contributed, not just in grand gestures, but in the little everyday things that added richness and warmth to their life. They might start to miss the way you listened to them, the advice you offered, the laughter you shared. Your presence, once perhaps taken as background noise, was actually the melody that added depth and meaning to their days. Now that melody is gone, leaving behind a silence that is uncomfortable and hard to ignore. This realization often triggers deeper reflection. They begin to ask themselves, why did I take them for granted? What was it about them that made my life better? And as they dig deeper, they start to see your true value, perhaps for the first time, with clear eyes. They come to understand that you weren't just filling a space in their life. You were adding something irreplaceable, something they can't easily find elsewhere. Let me give you a modern-day analogy. Think of a favorite dish you always order at your go-to restaurant. You've had it so many times that you don't even think about how much you enjoy it. It's just a given that it will satisfy you. But one day, you decide to try something new, and it just doesn't hit the same way. That's when you realize how much you love that favorite dish, how it satisfies you in a way that nothing else can. That's exactly what happens when you step back from someone's life. They start to realize that nothing else quite compares to what you brought to the table. This realization of your value isn't just a passing thought. It's a deep, resonating awareness that can profoundly change how they see you and the relationship. They start to recognize that you were a steady source of positivity, support, and joy. And now that you're not there, the impact of your absence is felt in every small moment they would have shared with you, in every challenge they face without your comforting words, in every laugh they miss having with you. Albert Einstein once said, "Strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value." By stepping back, you give them the space to truly see your value, to recognize that your presence was not something to be taken for granted, but a precious gift. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about allowing them to see what they had and what they've lost. As they sit with this realization, your absence begins to speak for you. It speaks of your worth, your impact, and the irreplaceable role you played in their life. And that realization can be powerful enough to make them reconsider, to reach out and to reconnect, this time with a deeper appreciation for who you are and what you bring into their life. So, as you contemplate your next steps, consider the power of this realization. It's not about manipulating emotions. It's about understanding your own worth and allowing others the time and space to understand it too. Ask yourself, what value do you truly bring to others? And how can stepping back sometimes highlight that value in a way that being constantly present cannot? In this process, you not only give others the chance to see your worth, but you also reinforce your own understanding of your value, setting the stage for stronger, more balanced relationships in the future. Number 3, the void of your presence. Now let's explore the third profound experience they are likely to face when you become absent, the void of your presence. After the initial shock of silence and the dawning realization of your value, they are confronted with a deeper, more unsettling awareness. the void you've left behind. This isn't just about missing the routine texts or phone calls. It's about a profound emptiness that your absence creates in their life, an emptiness that they may not have anticipated but now feel acutely. Imagine this scenario. They go through their daily routine, yet something feels off. The usual morning text that used to bring a smile doesn't arrive. The inside jokes that once sparked laughter now feel hollow when there's no one to share them with. And the comfort of knowing you were always there to listen, to talk things through, has vanished. It's as though the emotional safety net they didn't even realize they had has been suddenly pulled away, leaving them to navigate their days with a sense of loss, uncertainty, and longing. This void is profound because it transcends the simple absence of gestures. It's about the unique presence you brought into their life. Your presence was a source of warmth and connection, something that can't be easily replaced. Now, in your absence, they feel that emptiness more keenly than they ever thought possible. It's akin to walking into a room that once overflowed with light and warmth, only to find it now cold and dark. That emptiness, the void of your presence, is something they can't easily overlook. As they try to adjust to this new reality, they might attempt to fill that void by reaching out to others or distracting themselves with activities that once brought joy. But deep down, they recognize that nothing quite fits the space you once occupied. Your presence was not just another piece of their life. It was a unique element that added depth and meaning. Without you, there's a noticeable gap, a sense of incompleteness that they can't ignore. As they grapple with this void, they're reminded of what they had and, more importantly, what they've lost. It's a constant nudge, a daily reminder that something important, something that made their life better, is now missing. The French philosopher Voltaire once said, "The art of being happy lies in the power of extracting happiness from common things." Your presence added value to those common things, the little moments, the everyday interactions, and without you, those moments don't bring the same happiness or satisfaction. They're left with a stark realization. It wasn't just anyone who filled their life with warmth and joy. It was you. This void, this emptiness, becomes a powerful testament to the role you played in their life, a role they might not have fully appreciated until it was gone. So, that's the third experience they're likely to feel, the void of your presence. Before we move on to the next point, which delves even deeper into the impact your absence can have, I'd love to hear what's on your mind. What thoughts or questions are coming up for you as we talk about this? Feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm here to help guide you through this journey. And if you're finding value in this discussion, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future insights. We're just getting started on unraveling how your absence can create a profound difference in their life. So stick around. You won't want to miss what comes next. Thank you so much for being here and watching this video. What do you think is the most important Stoic principle when it comes to building meaningful connections? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. If you're not sure what to comment, just share which of the 3 secrets resonated with you the most, or simply type, "Stoic principles shape my connections." Your input helps enrich our community, and I can't wait to read what you have to say. Number 4. The rise of curiosity. In the realm of human connections, absence often speaks louder than presence. When you step back and create a space where once you stood, you ignite something powerful within the minds of those around you. Curiosity. Curiosity is the silent force that compels others to wonder, to question, and ultimately, to be drawn closer to you. Let's unravel this fascinating process through the lens of Stoic wisdom and discover how your absence can become the very thing that makes you irresistible. When you step away from someone's life, particularly when you've been a significant presence, something interesting begins to unfold. Curiosity starts to bloom. After the initial shock of your absence, after they've grappled with the reality of the void you've left behind, they find themselves drawn into a deeper need to understand what's happening in your world. This curiosity isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a profound shift in how they perceive you, They are no longer sure of who you are, what you're doing, or where you're headed, and this uncertainty is what stirs their interest. Picture this. They're scrolling through their phone, perhaps late at night, and they realize it's been days, maybe even weeks, since they've heard from you. A series of questions start to form in their mind. What could they be doing? Have they moved on? Are they happier now? These questions are more than just idle musings. They are the seeds of a deepening curiosity, a curiosity that might even drive them to check your social media for clues, to find out what you're up to. Each small piece of information they gather only fuels their desire to know more. This rise of curiosity is a powerful force because it marks the beginning of a shift in how they see you. When you were always around, they knew what to expect. You were predictable, reliable, and thus easily taken for granted. But now that you've stepped back, you've become a mystery, a puzzle they feel compelled to solve. It's like they're reading a novel where the next chapter is a blank page. They don't know what's coming, and that uncertainty is what draws them in. The philosopher Seneca once observed, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." In the same way, their growing curiosity about you is a sign that they're starting to realize how little they actually knew, how much they might have overlooked or misunderstood. Curiosity, in its purest form, is a potent motivator. It pushes people to reach out, to ask questions, to reconnect. It drives them to rediscover who you are, not as the person they thought they knew, but as someone who is continually evolving, changing, and becoming more intriguing with each passing day. In this way, your absence doesn't just create curiosity, it transforms their perception of you. They start to see you not just as a constant in their life, but as someone who is growing in ways they hadn't noticed before. As this curiosity takes root and grows, it becomes a force that pulls them closer, even as you remain distant. This is the subtle power of creating space in relationships. It allows the other person to see you in a new light, to appreciate the complexity of who you are, and to become fascinated by the mystery of your evolution. Your absence, then, isn't just a void, it's a magnet, drawing them back to you with renewed interest and a desire to understand the person you are becoming. To relate this to modern life, consider how we often take the most familiar people for granted, assuming we know everything about them. But when those people step back, when they stop being a constant presence, we are forced to confront the gaps in our knowledge and understanding. This is true in all relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendships. As Epictetus wisely stated, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you create distance, the other person's reaction is to fill that space with curiosity, to seek out what they're missing. This curiosity can reignite connections, bringing people closer together as they seek to rediscover who you are. In practical terms, if you find yourself always available, always present, consider the value of stepping back. Not in a manipulative way, but as a means of allowing others to see you anew. Let them wonder what you're up to. Let them miss you. And in that absence, let them rediscover the intrigue and depth that they may have overlooked. Your growth, your evolution, and your mystery become the very things that draw them back, eager to understand the person you are and the person you are becoming. As curiosity rises, so too does their appreciation for the complexities and nuances that make you who you are. Your absence, paradoxically, becomes the most powerful presence in their life, pulling them towards you in a way that constant availability never could. Number 5. The growth of longing. Now let's discover the fifth powerful emotion they might experience in your absence, the growth of longing. After curiosity has taken root, this deeper, more intense feeling begins to emerge, and it's far more than a simple wish to hear from you again. This longing is a persistent and growing ache, one that deepens with each passing day. As they wonder about you, as they try to fill in the gaps left by your absence, they begin to feel an emptiness, a void that only you can fill. This isn't just about wanting to see you or talk to you. It's about missing everything that made your relationship unique and meaningful. Imagine them going through their daily routine, yet every little thing seems to bring you to mind. A song that played when you were together, a cafe you used to visit, or even a phrase you once said that now echoes in their thoughts. These small reminders aren't just passing thoughts. They accumulate, each one adding to a growing sense of yearning that becomes impossible to ignore. It's not just the big moments that they miss. It's the small, everyday interactions that they now realize were the very threads that wove your relationship together. Longing is a powerful force because it thrives in the spaces where connection once existed. As the days go by without your presence, without the familiar comfort of your voice or your company, this longing only intensifies. It's like trying to quench a thirst with no water in sight. No matter how much they distract themselves, the desire to reconnect with you grows stronger. They start to realize that what they miss isn't just the idea of having someone around, but the unique connection they had with you, a connection that, in your absence, they come to see in a new light. Consider the words of the French writer Marcel Proust, who once said, "The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes." This quote perfectly encapsulates the transformation that longing brings. Through this longing, they begin to see the relationship differently, with new eyes that appreciate the depth and meaning of what you shared. It's often only in absence that the true value of something becomes clear, and this is the realization they start to have as the longing deepens within them. Let me share a modern-day story that perfectly illustrates this point. Think of a person who, after a breakup, tries to move on by filling their life with distractions, new hobbies, new friends, and endless social activities. At first, these distractions seem to work, but then, during a quiet moment, perhaps while driving home late at night, a song comes on the radio, one that the couple used to listen to together. Suddenly, all those distractions fall away, and they are hit with a wave of longing so strong that it feels like a physical ache. It's in this moment that they realize no new activity, no new person, can replace the unique connection they had with that specific individual. They aren't just longing for companionship, they're longing for the person who understood them in a way no one else could. As this longing grows, it acts as a force that pulls them back towards you, even if you're still apart. It's a realization that can change everything because it's not just about missing someone's presence. It's about missing the essence of who they are and what they brought into your life. Have you ever found yourself suddenly yearning for something you thought you had moved on from, only to realize that what you truly miss isn't just the thing itself, but the meaning and value it held for you? This is the power of longing. It opens their eyes to what they truly valued in your relationship and makes them crave the connection that once was. Your absence, in this case, doesn't just create a void, it becomes a catalyst for them to recognize and appreciate the depth of their feelings for you. This is where the real pull of your absence comes into play, as they begin to see with new eyes just how much you meant to them. And it's this realization that can lead them back to you, driven by a longing that's not just deep, but deeply personal. So what's the lesson here? In your absence, you give the other person the space to not only miss you, but to truly appreciate you. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful way to be remembered is to step back and let them realize what they had, what they lost, and what they truly long for. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about understanding the natural human response to loss and distance. By allowing this space, you create an opportunity for them to see your value more clearly, to feel the pull of longing, and perhaps to find their way back to you, not out of habit but out of a deep, undeniable desire for the connection they now recognize as irreplaceable. Number 6. The sting of regret. Another deep and often painful emotion that can arise when you step back from someone's life, the sting of regret. This feeling typically surfaces after curiosity has set in and longing has begun to intensify. Regret is more than just a fleeting sense of what if. It's a sharp, almost overwhelming realization that they may have taken you for granted, and now, With the clarity that absence brings, they start to see things in a new, often uncomfortable light. This is when they begin to recognize the full value of what they had with you, and the weight of this understanding can be almost unbearable. Picture this. They're alone, perhaps in the quiet of the evening, reflecting on the times you spent together. It could be something simple, a memory of a time when you reached out with support, offered a kind word, or made a sacrifice that went unnoticed or unappreciated. Suddenly, these moments flash before them and they realize they might have brushed off your concern, ignored your efforts, or simply assumed you'd always be there. But now, in your absence, these memories take on a new significance. They begin to understand just how much you gave, and the sting of having overlooked your value begins to set in. Regret often manifests as a series of painful, if-only thoughts. If only I had been more attentive. If only I had shown more appreciation. If only I had recognized their worth before it was too late. These thoughts are agonizing because they are tied to missed opportunities, opportunities to show you how much you meant to them, to nurture the connection you shared, or to resolve issues before they spiraled out of control. Now, they are left wondering how things might have been different if they had acted with more care and intention. This sting of regret is not just about feeling bad. It's a profound realization that they let something precious slip through their fingers. They start to replay events in their mind, wishing they could turn back time, wishing they had taken different actions, or had made more effort to sustain and grow the relationship. It's a sobering experience that brings with it a sense of loss that is difficult to shake. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, "Regret is a sharp-edged sword, not always useful but always felt." This quote beautifully captures the essence of regret. It cuts deep because it is tied to the irreversible nature of the past. There is no going back, no changing what has already been done, and that realization can lead to a profound sense of helplessness and sorrow. However, regret doesn't have to be purely negative. It can also be a powerful motivator for change. When someone feels the sting of regret, it often prompts them to reevaluate their priorities, to take a hard look at what they've lost, and to consider how they might make amends if given the chance. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where, only after losing something, you realize just how much it meant to you? Oh, this is the transformative potential of regret. It can push a person to grow, to change, and to strive to be better, not just for themselves, but for the relationships they value. In many cases, the sting of regret is what drives someone to reach out, to apologize, or to try and rekindle what's been lost. It's a powerful force that can inspire someone to reflect deeply on their past actions and the impact those actions have had on their relationships. As this regret takes hold, your absence begins to speak in a voice that says, "You should have valued me when you had the chance." This realization can be the catalyst for them to attempt to make things right, to seek forgiveness, or to rekindle the connection they now recognize as invaluable. So, what's the lesson here? It's a reminder that every relationship, every connection, should be nurtured and valued while it's still within our grasp. Regret teaches us that time is precious, and that taking someone for granted is a mistake that can lead to deep and lasting pain. Yet it also shows us that it's never too late to change, to make amends, and to learn from our mistakes. If you find yourself in a position where regret is taking hold, ask yourself, what can I do now, not just to ease the sting of regret, but to grow from it, to become someone who values and cherishes the relationships in my life? This introspection can lead to profound personal growth and perhaps to the healing and restoration of connections that once seemed lost. In the end, the sting of regret, while painful, can also be the force that drives us to become better versions of ourselves, more aware, more appreciative, and more capable of love and connection. If you've made it this far, you're truly on the path to mastering the art of Stoic attraction. Drop a comment saying, "My presence is powerful," to show you're committed to applying these secrets in your life. Stay tuned, because the journey only gets better from here. Number 7. The intrigue of mystery. When we withdraw from someone's life, an unexpected transformation takes place, a shift that can turn the mundane into the mysterious. This isn't just a tactic or a game, it's a natural phenomenon rooted in human psychology. The less someone knows, the more they want to know, and that's where the power of mystery begins to weave its magic. Today, we'll explore how stepping back can turn you into an enigma that others can't resist unraveling. Let's delve into the seventh powerful emotion they might experience when you become absent: the intrigue of mystery. As time goes on without you, they begin to see you in a different light, one that is wrapped in the allure of the unknown. When you were always around, sharing your thoughts, your plans, your feelings, they had a clear picture of who you were and what you were doing. But now, with your presence withdrawn, that picture becomes blurred, and in its place, a fascinating mystery begins to take shape. This shift from the predictable to the unpredictable is where the real power lies. Consider this. They suddenly realize they no longer know what you're up to. The daily updates, the shared moments, the open book that was your life is now closed to them. This unpredictability sparks a deep curiosity, leading them to wonder, what is he doing now? Who is he spending time with? What new experiences is he exploring without me? This curiosity isn't just idle speculation. It's a magnetic pull that draws them closer to you, even though you're physically distant. The fact that they can't easily predict your actions or thoughts makes them want to dig deeper, to uncover the layers of your life that they now find themselves shut out from. This intrigue of mystery is a potent force, because it reverses the usual dynamic. When you were always available, always transparent, they might have taken you for granted, assuming they knew everything there was to know. But now, your absence has created a void filled with questions, assumptions, and a desire to know more. You've transformed from someone they thought they fully understood into a multi-layered character in the story of their life, someone who continues to evolve in ways they can only guess at. It's much like when a beloved character in a novel suddenly reveals hidden depths or unexpected sides. Suddenly, the story becomes far more compelling, and they can't help but turn the page to see what happens next. Oscar Wilde once said, "The truth is rarely pure and never simple." This quote perfectly captures the essence of mystery and its powerful allure. You are no longer just the person they once knew. You've become someone with complexities, someone with a life that moves forward independently of them. This realization can be both unsettling and captivating, driving them to try and piece together the puzzle of who you've become. It's this subtle but significant shift that makes your absence not just felt, but deeply intriguing. In modern life, we are often bombarded with information, constantly connected, and always aware of what others are doing. Social media, instant messaging, and the 24/7 news cycle have made it so that mystery is a rare commodity. But when you introduce mystery into your life, by stepping back, by not sharing every detail, by allowing some parts of your life to remain unseen, you create a powerful contrast to this constant exposure. It's a reminder that not everything needs to be shared, and that sometimes what's left unsaid or unseen is far more compelling than what's laid bare for all to see. Now, consider your own life. When was the last time someone's absence made you think twice, made you wonder what they were doing, and perhaps even made you miss them more than you expected? This is the power of mystery at work. It's not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about recognizing that a certain level of unpredictability and the unknown can reignite interest and draw people closer. So what's the takeaway here? The lesson is simple yet profound. Embrace the power of mystery in your interactions. You don't have to be an open book all the time. Let there be some chapters that remain unread, some thoughts that are kept private, some plans that are hinted at, but not fully revealed. By doing this, you not only maintain your own sense of autonomy and independence, but also create an aura of intrigue that naturally draws others towards you. Your absence, combined with the mystery it creates, becomes a force that speaks louder than any words could. It makes others realize that there's more to discover, more to appreciate, and more to be drawn to in you than they ever imagined. And in that realization, you become someone they simply can't stop thinking about, someone whose presence they yearn to understand and reconnect with, because the mystery of who you've become is simply too intriguing to ignore. Number 8. The power of reflection. Let's now talk about the 8th powerful experience they might encounter when you become absent, the profound power of reflection. After the initial shock of your silence, the growing curiosity, and the sharp sting of regret, they will inevitably find themselves in a space of deep contemplation. This isn't just a fleeting thought or a momentary glance back. It's a period of introspection where they begin to truly think about the relationship, about you, and about themselves in ways they may never have before. Your absence provides them with the necessary space to reflect on everything that transpired between you. What went well, what didn't, and most crucially, what they may have overlooked or taken for granted. Picture this. They find themselves alone, perhaps in the quiet of the night, replaying memories of your time together. They think about the conversations you shared, the support you offered without expecting anything in return, and the times when they might not have given you the attention or appreciation you so rightly deserved. These reflections aren't just idle musings. They begin to see things with new clarity. Reflection is a powerful tool because it allows them to see the relationship not just as it was, but as it could have been if only they had invested more effort, more care, or more understanding. It's in these quiet moments that they start to recognize their own shortcomings, the times when they were too focused on their own needs, too caught up in their own world to fully appreciate how much you were contributing to their life. This period of reflection is more than just about missing your presence. It's about realizing the missed opportunities, the moments where they could have built something even stronger with you, if only they had been more attentive, more present, and more giving. This reflection often leads to a new level of self-awareness. They might begin to see patterns in their behavior, perhaps recognizing that these same mistakes have appeared in their past relationships. It's a humbling moment of personal growth, where they come to understand that your absence isn't just a temporary void, it's a catalyst for change, an opportunity for them to learn and potentially evolve. As Socrates wisely said, the unexamined life is not worth living. This period of reflection compels them to examine not only their life, but also their choices, and how those choices have impacted their relationships. During this time of introspection, they might start to see the true value of what they had with you, and how their actions, or inactions, led to the current state of affairs. It's a time when they realize that life was richer with you in it, and that perhaps with this newfound understanding, they could approach things differently if given another chance. Have you ever found yourself looking back on a relationship or a decision and realizing that with a bit more thought, a bit more care, things could have turned out differently? This is exactly what they're experiencing, an intense period of reflection that not only sheds light on the past, but also illuminates a potential path forward. As they immerse themselves in this reflective state, your absence begins to speak for you in ways that provoke deep thought, foster significant personal growth, and encourage them to truly appreciate the value of what they had with you. This process of reflection might even lead them to a realization that their life was more complete with you in it, and that the lessons learned from this time apart could pave the way for meaningful changes. It's through this lens of reflection that they come to see the depth of their connection with you, and how your absence has been not just a loss, but a transformative experience that could lead to something even more profound, should they have the chance to reconnect with you. In modern life, we're often so busy, so distracted, that we rarely take the time to truly reflect on our actions and their consequences. But your absence creates a unique space for them to do just that. It's a reminder that sometimes stepping back isn't just about letting someone miss you. It's about giving them the opportunity to see things from a new perspective, to grow, and to perhaps come back to you with a greater appreciation and understanding of what you brought into their life. So, what's the lesson here? The power of reflection is immense, and it's in those quiet, introspective moments that the most significant realizations occur. By stepping back, you've not only given them the space to think and grow, but you've also allowed them to see the relationship with new eyes that might just see the value in reconnecting and building something stronger than before. Number 9. The magnetism of self-sufficiency. The ninth powerful reaction they might experience when you become absent, the undeniable magnetism of self-sufficiency. As they adjust to the void you've left behind, something fascinating begins to occur. They start to perceive you in an entirely new light. No longer are you the person who was always available, always giving, always ready to drop everything at a moment's notice. Instead, you've transformed into someone who embodies independence, strength, and resilience. And this newfound self-sufficiency? It's incredibly magnetic, pulling them toward you in a way they might not have expected. Think about this. They observe that you're not just getting by without them. You're actually thriving. You're pursuing your passions, engaging in activities that fulfill you, and generally living your best life, completely on your own terms. This realization is a game changer for them. You're no longer just the person they once knew. You've grown, evolved, and become someone even more compelling in their absence. There's a powerful allure to a person who doesn't rely on others for validation or happiness. And when they see you embracing your self-sufficiency, it challenges the narrative they may have had about you. Perhaps they once believed that you needed them to feel whole, but now they see that you're perfectly capable of creating your own joy, regardless of whether they're involved in your life or not. This transformation can stir a complex mix of emotions within them. On one hand, they might feel a sharp pang of regret for not recognizing your strength and independence sooner. On the other hand, they may find themselves even more drawn to you, intrigued by this new dimension of your personality. It's as though you've become a beacon of independence, radiating confidence and self-assuredness, and that's something they simply can't ignore. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Self-reliance is the height of man." This quote resonates deeply here because your self-sufficiency isn't just about being independent. It's about embodying a maturity and inner strength that is inherently attractive. They begin to see that you're not just surviving without them. You're thriving, and that realization forces them to acknowledge how much they may have underestimated your resilience and capability. This magnetism of self-sufficiency doesn't just make them admire you from afar. It also leads them to question their own lives. They may begin to reflect on whether they've been too reliant on others for their happiness, and whether they could learn a lesson from the way you approach life. Your ability to flourish independently becomes a silent yet powerful reminder that true strength comes from within, and that's a quality they might now find themselves admiring in you more than ever before. So, as they witness your self-sufficiency, your absence starts speaking volumes. It tells a story of your strength, your resilience, and your independence, qualities that they may have overlooked before, but now find irresistibly attractive. It becomes clear to them that you're not just someone who can stand on your own, you're someone who can shine on your own. And this kind of self-reliance isn't just admirable, it's magnetic, drawing them back toward you with a renewed sense of respect and admiration. Have you ever noticed how people are often most attracted to those who seem completely content on their own, those who don't need others to validate their worth? That's exactly what's happening here. Your self-sufficiency becomes a powerful force, one that they can't help but be drawn to, making them realize just how much they underestimated your strength and how much they might want to be a part of your life once again. The lesson here is clear. True magnetism doesn't come from needing others, but from being strong, independent, and whole on your own. And that's the kind of person who not only attracts others, but commands their respect and admiration as well. Number 10. The desire for reconnection. In the journey of relationships, absence doesn't merely create a void, it sets the stage for profound realizations. What happens when the person you once knew evolves into someone stronger, more resilient, and even more compelling? The pull to reconnect becomes irresistible, not just because of what was lost, but because of what has been gained in their absence. Let's dive into how this desire for reconnection forms and why it becomes such a powerful force. After experiencing the shock of your silence, the gradual realization of your value, the growing void left by your absence, and the magnetic appeal of your newfound self-sufficiency, they find themselves at a crossroads. These complex emotions, curiosity, longing, regret, and reflection, culminate in a powerful and overwhelming desire to reconnect with you. This isn't just a simple wish to have things back the way they were. It's a deep-seated need that has grown out of everything they've felt during your absence. Think about it. They've spent days, weeks, perhaps even months reflecting on the relationship they had with you and what they've lost. The more they dwell on it, the more they realize that your absence has created a void that nothing else seems to fill. The new people they've met, the distractions they've immersed themselves in, all of it pales in comparison to the connection they shared with you. This realization hits them hard, leading to an intense desire to bridge the gap, to reach out, and to bring you back into their life. The desire for reconnection isn't just about missing the good times. It's about recognizing that what you shared was unique, something they can't easily replicate with anyone else. They begin to understand that their life was richer with you in it. The connection you shared brought them a sense of completeness, joy, and fulfillment that they now yearn to experience again. But here's the most intriguing part. This desire to reconnect is fueled by the person you've become in their absence. They're not just longing for the person they once knew. They're captivated by the stronger, more self-assured version of you that has emerged during this time apart. Your independence, your resilience, and your ability to thrive on your own have made you even more appealing. They now see you as someone who isn't just desirable because of the past you shared, but because of the growth and transformation you've undergone since then. As they sit with this desire, they might start to envision what it would be like to reconnect, to rebuild the relationship on new, stronger foundations. They imagine the conversations you could have now, the shared experiences that would be richer with the wisdom and growth you've both gained. This desire for reconnection becomes a powerful motivator, pushing them to reach out, to apologize, or to express what they've learned and how they've changed. It's not just about rekindling an old flame. It's about creating something new, something even better, because of the personal evolution that has taken place. F. Scott Fitzgerald once wrote, "There are all kinds of love in this world, but never the same love twice." They come to realize that what they had with you was special, and the possibility of rekindling that connection, of creating a new, stronger bond, becomes an irresistible pull. This desire for reconnection isn't about going back to what was. It's about moving forward into something even more profound and meaningful, built on the lessons learned during your time apart. So as this desire for reconnection grows, your absence starts speaking for you in the form of an undeniable urge to rebuild what was lost. They find themselves drawn to you, not just because of who you were, but because of who you've become. They see that reconnecting with you might be the only way to fill the void that your absence has left behind. And in that desire, they realize that what you now represent isn't just the past. It's a future full of possibilities, shaped by the strength and growth that both of you have undergone. This is where the power of reconnection lies, not in reclaiming what once was, but in embracing what could be, stronger, deeper, and more fulfilling than ever before. Thank you for watching. Remember, applying these Stoic principles in your daily life isn't just about attracting a specific person. It's about cultivating personal growth, resilience, and true happiness. Take a moment to reflect on how your absence and presence speak for you in your relationships, and consider the impact of these practices on your journey toward becoming your best self. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to Stoic in Your Life, and share it with others who might benefit. I'd love to hear your experiences. Comment below with, "My presence shapes my path," and let's continue the discussion. Your thoughts and engagement are what keep this community thriving. See you in the next video.